Association. Luckily for us, this is not a room that we are usually in. This is just this 1 week. We'll be back in the CC boardroom, which is a great, new, nice room. Much more spacious, too, so that it's not so crowded. So that I can actually see those of you in the corners as well. But for now, we'll have to make do. So we're going to get started with our opening roll. We're going to do this a little bit differently this week, just because it is a new week and new senators. So when our secretary, Emma, calls your last name, I just want, if everybody could stand up and just introduce themselves, something really, really briefly. First and last name, your year, major is fine. That is A, so that we can make sure we're pronouncing your names correctly, and B, just so that we can kind of put faces to names and all get to know each other. Okay? What's that? All right. Okay. So name, year, major, and the area that you represent, whether it's a living area or an academic division, at large, whatever that might be. Okay?
Okay. Senator Agnes.
Hi guys, my name's Senator Agnes. I'm a senior and I'm a political science major and I'm a senator at large.
All right. My name is Jared Altilio. I am a senior as well, political science major, and I am a law and government division senator.
Asmus.
What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm in the corner over here. My name is Dylan. I'm a senator at large. I'm a junior, and I studied information systems and business analytics.
Berea.
Hi guys, my name is Sean Correa. I'm a junior. That's awkward.
My name is Kenny Barrera. I'm an EOP freshman. I'm a relations criminal justice. And I represent Lincoln.
Hi everyone, I'm Kara Berkey. I'm a junior. I'm a Homeland Security major and I'm an off-campus senator.
Blackwood.
Yeah. I'm a live major. I'm a junior. My name is Chaz.
Please.
Hi, my name is Chloe Bliss. I'm a junior. I'm studying Africana Studies and I'm a senator at large.
Bostwick.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a political science major and I'm a junior and I'm an off-campus senator.
Sure.
Capano.
Hi, I'm Paul Castellano. I'm a senior, a history major, and I'm the other law and government senator. The other, I like it.
Carol.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Patrick. I am a junior, political science major, and I'm an off-campus senator.
Now Correa.
Round two. Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a junior and I'm a public policy major, and I'm a senator at large.
Dema.
Hi guys, I'm Amanda. I'm an econ major. I'm a senior and I represent the business seat.
Dominguez.
Hi everyone, my name is Brianna Dominguez. I'm a Latin American Studies major and I am a social science learner.
Edward.
I'm representing the private companies. I'm a political science major with a minor in communication. I'm from New York.
Eldridge.
Hi guys, I'm Morgan Eldridge. I am a junior. I am a forensic chemistry major and I am with the natural and applied sciences centers.
Katz Petrakos.
Hi guys, I'm Paulina Petrakos. Close.
Sorry.
I'm a political science major and I'm representing Liberty and a junior.
Holdridge.
Hey guys, I'm Brendan Holdridge. I'm a junior, I'm a poli-sci major, and I'm senator at large.
Howard.
Yep, I represent everybody.
How's it going? I'm Owen Howard. I'm a sophomore. I'm an accounting major, and I'm representing Colonial Quad.
Igbokewe.
Hello guys, I'm Chichi Bokwe. I'm a freshman. My intended major is business and I'm a senator at large.
James.
Hey everyone, my name is James. freshman, computer science, and I'm a senior at Large.
Well, that's pretty hard to follow up, but I'm Liv Johansson, I'm a senior, I'm a psychology major, and I'm an off-campus senator. Thank you.
Jones. Hi, I'm Cassandra. I am a political science major. I am a freshman, and I am the state quad senator.
Kujawa.
Hi, I'm Kennedy. I'm a senior and anthropology major, and I'm the social science major.
Lahara.
As a graduate, my name is Jody Lahara. I'm a junior studying informatics, and I'm an off-campus center.
Leonardo.
Hi everyone, my name is Leonardo. I am a junior. I'm a junior in political science and economics and business minor, and I am the business
Losito.
Hi guys, my name is Logan Osito and I'm representing Indian Quad. I'm a junior and my major is political science.
Miller.
Hi guys, I'm Terrell Miller. I'm representing Dutch Quad and I'm a business major.
Hey, I'm Nadia. I'm a junior. I'm a human bio major and I'm majoring in empire commons. O'Connell.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Jack. I'm a sophomore. I'm a business administration major, and I'm representing Freedom Apartments.
Yeah, freedom.
O'Mara.
What's up, guys?
I'm a junior, criminal justice major, I'm an off-campus center.
Quinn. Richards.
Hi guys, I'm Jessica Richards. I'm a sophomore here. I'm a business major, minoring in Spanish, and I represent Dutch Quad, and I'm from the Bronx. So
Ryback.
Hi everyone, my name is Mitch Ryback. I'm a senior studying political science, and I'm a senator at Large.
Sabor.
Hi guys, I'm Max Seavor. I'm a freshman studying public policy and I represent State Quad.
State Quad?
Hello everyone, my name is Jeff. I'm an economics and English major. I'm a junior and I'm representing the humanities division.
Shayo.
All right, what's up everyone? I'm Adam. I'm a senior, business administration with concentration in finance and management. I am representing freedom, literally.
Smith.
I'm Hannah Smith. I am a senior. I'm a political science major, and I'm also representing Liberty.
Well, we'll go back to Goldfine.
I'm a senior. I'm political science and history major, and
St. Hubert.
I'm a senior political science major and I represent all campus.
Desmond.
Hi guys, my name is Suba. I'm a junior at the University of Albany, obviously. I'm double majoring in Homeland Security and Criminal Justice with minors in Political Science and Sociology, and I am a senator at large.
Williams. Desire.
thank you guys for playing along. Emma has a really tough job of having to take down everything that happens at these meetings. So sometimes when we all get carried away and we're discussing things or announcing things, especially when it comes to important things like numbers, dates, and things like that, we forget that someone has to have that job of taking it down. So I guess just requesting that everyone kind of take it a little slow, and especially if you're a new senator, just kind of remind us of your name before you speak, just for today, so she can make sure to take that down. Next week, when everybody gets assigned committees, you'll also be given little nameplates that you can put in front of you, and that'll be an easier way for her and for everybody to be able to see, you know, your name, where you're from in terms of on campus, and your committee. So just for this week, try to make it a point to introduce yourself again if you happen to speak during the meeting, just so we can make sure that we get your name down. Other than that, we'll move on to the executive attendance.
Montaigne? Yeah. Tedesco?
What? Oh, I cannot hear. Wow. Hello, everyone. Cheers.
Just cheers, fine.
Oh, wait, I didn't get to say my name.
You will during your report.
I was prepared.
Here.
Did I say it right this time?
Yep, you
finally
got
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to explain how the agenda works a little bit later, but just so that we don't skip it, because I know I won't remember it if I come back to it later. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, so public comment tonight? Yeah. Senator Shio has a public comment.
Yeah, so I basically wanted to say hello to the new senators, welcome them. I know I'm a returning senator, I've been doing this for quite some time. And for the new senators, I just wanted to give a piece of advice. Last year there was, you know, in past years, that there has been some drama in the Senate to make it, like, to understate it. But, so I have 3 don'ts for your time here. And the 3 don'ts are, don't let your grades drop, don't lose friends over this, and don't let it get to your head.
Any other comments? I think it's a pretty good summary for the first meeting. So we do have, before I introduce, well, actually, opening remarks. I was going to save this. Like I said, I'm going to try to devote the first about half of the meeting to just training for not just new senators, but a refresher for old senators. This is the first time in several years that we have done a Senate training, so there are probably people who are returning senators who never actually learned this at the beginning of their terms. So I'm trying to, make this as productive as possible. I'm going to try to make that more engaging and take questions or comments as I go along. So just for right now, my opening remarks are welcome. Again, welcome back to returning senators. Welcome to new senators. It's going to be a fun year, I think. I think we've got a lot of opportunity to do a lot of great things, a lot of big things. So I'm looking forward to working with you all to do that, and of course meeting all of you. Just to explain quickly, actually I'll just save it. University reports, I want to give Ray the opportunity, and Danielle, if she also so chooses, before we move on to you guys.
Woo! Hi everybody, I'm Ray Webb. I'm a graduate assistant for student government with the Office of Student Activities.
Yeah, Ray.
Some of my experience in the past with the Student Association. I stood where Jared stood as Senate Chair 2 years ago. I sat where you sat for 2 years also as a Senator at Large in the Law and Government Division Senator. And now I bring my expertise over to the Office of Student Involvement and advisor to the Student Association. I'm from Long Island. That is the most important thing. That's it. If you have any questions for me, I come to all your meetings. I go to committee meetings. I go to Board of Finance meetings. I've been around SA a long time, so if you have any questions or insight, I'm happy to talk to you. And congratulations on behalf of all of our office to the newly elected senators.
Hi guys, I'm Danielle. I'm the chair of the Elections Commission, so most of you guys already know me, but I just wanted to say congratulations to the new senators. Thank you for making my job and the rest of the Elections Commission's job pretty easy throughout this election. So feel free to come say hi. I also work in the Office of Student Involvement as well as Student Association. So feel free to say hi when you see me, and best of luck this semester.
Love you.
Thank you, Ray and Danielle. We have one more university report from our newly elected University Council Representative, Alondra Baroa.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Alondra Baroa. If you don't know me yet, I just want to say thank you to those who voted for me. If it wouldn't have been for you, I wouldn't have had the incredible amount of votes that I did. I also want to say welcome to the new senators. This is an amazing opportunity. Please learn, grasp everything you can potentially grasp. And just a little bit about myself. Well, I'm a junior. I'm double majoring in political science and homeland security. I'm currently involved in residential life, the Student Organization Resource Center, the Student Association within the Board of Finance. I'm also entering my second year as an appointee for the University Auxiliary Services. So please talk to me. I also want to emphasize, please talk to your constituents. Talk to the people you represent, whether it be in your respective living area, in the department you represent. Please talk to them and tell me what you want me to bring up to the council. My term officially starts October 1st, so please, if you see me, you can contact me. Talk to me. I'm open to any suggestions, any issues you want me to talk to the council about. So please reach out to me, talk to me whenever you see me, and thank you for electing me.
I actually have a question for you, if that's okay. What is University Council?
So basically, University Council is a board of 10 people. One of them is elected by the respective institution, and the other 9 are appointed by the governor of New York. And basically, we're there. I mean, I spoke to Jarius about it, so he could give me some advice on, what to expect. And he told me that they were very busy on, electing the president before, in the university, excuse me. So essentially what it is, how I see it is, I'm there to advocate for the students. I'm there to bring up any concerns. And what Jarius had told me also, and what I researched about, was that the University Council is there to basically adhere that state law is in accord with the university law is in accordance with state law. So that's what I'm saying. Like, please talk to me if you want to bring up any concerns, any issues within the University Council, because I am in an important position where I can potentially change some of the laws that are already in place. So that's basically what it is.
Any other questions for her? Our judicial report. Anything?
Hi guys, so tomorrow we're going to start our approving constitutions, and tonight I'm very excited to see our new senators, and we're going to set the oath of office tonight, but definitely waiting for dinner.
Actually, that's so true. I probably should have done that already. Why don't we do that right now in the judicial report, if you're ready? Okay. So could all, when I say new senators, I mean you've just won in this election. Stand and raise your right hand.
Okay guys, so when we're going to say the oath of office, and when I say your name, you're going to say your name loud and clear so that everyone here in this room can hear you. And we're going to start right now. I. Name. Do solemnly swear to uphold the Student Association Constitution.
Do solemnly swear to uphold the Student Association Constitution.
And fulfill the duties of my office.
And fulfill the duties of my office.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations. Any questions for the Chief Justice? All right, so Board of Finance, I'm going to explain how that works a little later, but since we don't have one yet, there's no report. Executive reports, if you guys want to take the same opportunity to introduce yourselves that the senators did, that works for me. We'll start with the Office of the President.
Getting my report one shot? Getting my report one shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do.
Cool. All right, everybody. So for those of you who may not know me, however, if you were running for a Senate seat, I would hope that you actually do know who your SA president is. So once again, welcome everybody. My name is Julissa Fontaine. Please call me Juju, and I am your current Student Association President. I am beyond excited to be working very closely with you all in terms of all the initiative that you guys are going to produce through your seats of leadership. You all are very impactful students. There is a reason why every single one of you won the seat that you have right now, and it's very important that you guys absolutely take advantage of this. Your job is to literally serve the students. Whether you're a social science, you're a representative, at-large representative, your job is to represent all students. However, you should pay a lot of attention to your respective living area or whatever academic area may be as well. But once again, I need you guys to be on board with all the executive programs and initiatives as well. Once again, we had the Maintenance of Effort rally this evening, and a lot of you actually were not there. And I am going to put this out there because once again, you all are in a position to lead. You guys cannot inspire other students to be active leaders if you guys are not participating in our initiatives. So I definitely want to let you guys know that it is very imperative that you guys are getting involved in everything student association related. I need you guys promoting. I need you guys out there advocating. I need you guys really and truly helping us revitalize the brand of the student association. You all are absolutely amazing. I know at least 98% of you in this room. I've seen you all commit yourselves very well to your respective student organizations, whether you're part of residential life. I know that you guys are all very committed individuals, and I have faith that you all will serve as very active senators of the student association. All right, guys? So once again, clap yourselves up for being here. I know you guys are going to be great. I am so excited. Being a part of, a full Senate as a student association president, and I can honestly tell you guys that I'm beyond inspired by every single one of you. So thank you all so much for that. But in terms of my report, my Vice President, Medea Khan, she couldn't be here this evening because she does serve as an HM on Freedom. She's doing duty right now. But we are in the process of hiring our executive office manager. This is the very final round. So we are crossing our fingers that we do get this person and she accepts the offer, because if we don't, it's going to be tough. The office needs an executive office manager. It's very important that we have the office fully functioning. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you guys will see a new face in the office. Make sure you say hi, get to know that individual, and I'm sure they will serve us very well. Also, I had a student come up to me. She's actually starting something called the HALO project. Basically, what she pointed out to me was that the university isn't really doing a great job in terms of helping students who may have lost a loved one. And although we have CAPS and we have all these, you guys can't talk when I'm talking, although we have CAPS and all these other organizations that assist with that, however, more specifically, there is no one to assist us in developing that kind of help. So we do want to work more closely with the undergraduate dean for education, and we do also want to work more closely with Advisement Plus and kind of figure out ways to better help those students who are losing their loved ones, because that is happening on campus. We are experiencing a lot of hurricane tragedies. I, for one, my island of Dominica, which only holds 72,000 people, we just experienced a Hurricane Maria at Category 5, and I'm actually very concerned because I have not heard from my older sister as yet. So once again, this is something that's very emotional and very impactful for me, and I'm sure it will be the same thing for you guys. So we're going to go very in-depth with this one. Aside from that, I also want to talk more about meeting with Dr. Steller. So as you guys may know, he's no longer serving as our interim president. However, he is going back to our program for academic affairs. So I plan on working more closely with him to figure out what can we do to get faculty more involved with student organizations, because all those organizations basically represent a demographic on campus. Whether it's socially, whether it's academically, whether it's professionally, there's a lot of ways that these faculty members can help us, but maybe they just don't know what groups exist on campus and who they can reach out to make these changes. So we'll be having a very thorough conversation about that. All right, guys? So any questions for me? I suggest you do this now, because I'm pretty sure you guys are going to have a lot of questions throughout the next semester. We're good? All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Now you do.
Listen, so I be really excited. Hello, everyone. Hello. Come on, stop playing. Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, that was a little more energy. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Langie Podeska. I'm a junior here studying criminal justice with a minor in Africana Studies and Political Science. I am the Chief of Staff to our wonderful President, Julissa Fontaine, also known as Juju. And my report for y'all today is that today we had our MOE rally that was, I was the host of the event. For any future events for the Student Association, I want all of you to know you should be there. You are all a part of the student association. It's not just about the executive board, it's about all of us here present in this room right now. We are all student leaders at this university, so we want to ensure that we're actually showing that. Maintenance of effort, if you don't know, it is a very important topic, ensuring that the state legislature upholds the same amount of support that they gave SUNY schools in the past for continuing years. Just to give y'all a little background story on that. Also, I have mentorship, our peer mentorship program. The date is October 9th, and our room has been booked, so that's going to be absolutely amazing. Please be on the lookout for that. Those of you who are new, if you haven't been added to the Student Association Squad Chat, we'll probably be adding y'all to that very soon. We want all of you to also promote our events too. Darian will talk more about that during her marketing report, but ensure that you're promoting our events and attending our events, because at Student Association, it's not just about what our marketing director or just what about those people sitting over there can do. It's about what we all can do for the students as a whole, because that is our jobs here. You should be knowing that you want to bring that to the communities that you represent. Everybody got me?
Nice.
Any questions? Nah, cool. Thank you.
As a side note, I'll add everybody to that chat tonight.
Yes, welcome. Thank you all.
It's work, honestly, to put every single person
It
in
really
the
is. It really is.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Andrew Petrone. I serve as the executive assistant to Juju. I work really closely with her and Lenny, as well as Vice President Maddie and Louisa. I actually don't have a report for you tonight, but I want to tell you a little bit about what I do as it pertains to you guys. So one of our main themes for this year is to really get the executive and legislative together, working towards a common purpose, which is helping students, right? Advocating on behalf of students and making sure that every single student is getting the absolute best experience they can out of their undergraduate experience here at the university. Myself, I'm actually a dual bachelor's master's student in the program in sociology, and I will be graduating this year with my bachelor's, so that's really exciting. But that was a tangent. One of the things that I really do want to promote for all of you guys this year is this idea of self-care. I spoke to the Senate about it last week, but for the new senators who weren't here, I do want to stress it again. As student leaders, it does get really stressful when you have your responsibilities with your committees for whatever events and programs you're working on, as well as just the day-to-day kind of wear and tear that you endure as a college student. That's rough. For you freshmen, you're really going to know what that's like. I see a few of you smiling because you absolutely know what I'm talking about. But through all of that, we go through a lot of stuff, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and as a result of that, we have to take care of ourselves. And we need to make sure that we're doing what we have to do in order to maintain positive mental illness, physical health, and to just be the absolute best person you can be. So I absolutely want you guys to advocate on behalf of that mission. It's very important for our constituents, it's very important for our students, for the health of the university, and for all you guys here. All right, thank you. Next up, we have Manny. He's our chief strategist, and he will actually be giving a report this week.
Hey everybody, nice to meet you all. I'm going to meet you all in person after this. I stand before you as the Chief Strategist for the Student Association. I work wholly and solely for the Office of the President, President Fontaine. I advise her on matters whether it is internal or external, specifically with regards to higher education policy in the state of New York. So now that we've got the important part out, my report. So I've been working with the President on two particular things. First off is making sure that our legislative outreach to our elected representatives in the capital region is strong. We just talked to a couple of assembly members who were here on campus today with regards to our MOE event, so we've got that in the pipeline. Second off, we have a very new, interesting concept, which is to have a capital region council of student government in the city of New York. It's unprecedented, it's never been done before, and UAlbany will hopefully be chairing that council. We're going to talk on a plethora of issues ranging from shared governance to maintenance of effort to food insecurity, which Senator Demmer suggested to me a little while ago. So yeah, I mean, we've got a great ton of things happening at the Student Association, especially coming out of the executive, not to diss you guys. But again, to the new senators, I just want to say it is quite the honor to be in this chamber. I know Chair Alatilio is a great leader for you guys, and I hope that you guys will be doing some great work in the coming year. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
We have comptroller up next.
All right. So.
All right, everybody. My name is Nick Hackshaw. I am a senior accounting major, and this is Brian. He's separate.
Yeah, my name is Brian Polanco. I was a former senator, and I was the most popular senator here. This is what I second position, so I understand what it entails, and all I gotta say is, again, what Andrew said, self-care, because I don't know if it's 5 hours a night, but the advocacy that you do for the students is really important, so never lose sight of that.
So yeah, back to the topic at hand. I am your comptroller for this academic year. The main thing I have to do is try to handle financials, look through the whole information, try to put that together, and for our report this year, we try to get a lot of the treasurers to take the treasurer's exam, make sure they're ready to do their financials, and also backtrack a little bit, to make sure that all purchase orders that were done in the previous year are kind of up to date and handled. So those are the two main things that we've done. Another thing that we're trying to do in the future upcoming weeks is to make sure that we're all, have our ducks in a row in terms of with UAS and OSI and things of that nature to make sure that during the year we have an idea of how financials should be handled and how we are going to stick with the bylaws. So that's something that I look forward to being able to, talk to you guys about and maybe take your input on how to make sure that the clubs are handling their financials in terms of bylaws.
Yeah, in order to make sure that clubs are acting financially responsible, what we're going to do is we're going to create a proper presentation in order to educate new clubs and return clubs about the PR policy, how do you request funding, how does this funding actually turn into real money, and through that we'll also have a more efficient and more transparent controls also hopefully be efficient and will lead to many students being fiscally responsible. So.
Any questions? Yeah. No. No? No, you're good. No questions. All right. Just so you guys know, also how this would typically work is after each director gives their report, or each member of the executive branch gives their report, you guys have an opportunity to ask any questions you might have based on the report or based on their respective offices. So just keep that in mind. Future, I know today's very introductory, so there might not be any questions, but we will now move on to the Office of Community Engagement and Outreach.
Hi guys, I'm Rosalind Frumpong and I'm the Director for Community Engagement and Outreach. Under my department is my sub-department of Civic Action, in which actually on September 26th we're having our voter registration drive, which will come, register to vote, and she's going to be tabling till 10 to 2. For my department, actually, we're having 100-year-olds, which is September 27th, which we're making sandwiches and good bags. You guys can just let me know if you want to be a part of it. I'll see everyone there. We're also having our Pioneers cleanup on October 29th. And it's going to be Halloween themed, so it's going to be really fun, becoming costumes. So look forward to that.
I actually want to applaud Rosalind very much so for this past Sunday at the Meet Much and More. She did a very good job. She did a great job. Thank you, Rosalind.
All right, next up, the Department of Gender and Sexuality.
It's a maze. Hi, I'm Haley. I'm the Director of Gender and Sexuality Concerns. This year we're spicing a lot of different things up. I currently just moved the coming out reception to work with alumni for October 21st, so put in your calendars. We're having an open bar for those of age to network with alumni, LGBTQ-friendly alumni from Albany to connect with students and kind of draw that attention to, you can have a degree in something, but are you going to understand the safety and the networking skills of our community? We're going to have a flyer for the actual event out soon, but I did put it in the group chat to ask for submissions for coming out. So please remind students that even if they don't feel comfortable sharing their story, you can find someone to present for it. It'll be really exciting. And I'm currently making a meeting with ResLife to bring more attention to gender inclusive housing, lack thereof. And we are working on Chosen Family Thanksgiving and Trans Day of Remembrance for November 20th. So y'all invited to that. I will keep you posted, but thank you for supporting my friends.
The Department of Health and Sustainability.
Yes,
Hey, good evening, everyone. First of all, welcome to all of the new senators. Second, welcome back to all of the returning senators. My name is Catherine McDermott, Katie. I am the Director of Health and Sustainability, which is a brand new department for the E-Board. So if anybody has any suggestions or recommendations for me, definitely let me know. Otherwise, I am a senior here studying biochemistry, molecular biology, and environmental sustainability. Yeah, it's a lot. And I'm a housing manager on Empire, so if you guys see me around in the office, or if you lock yourself out on Sundays, you'll see me. And so a little bit for what's going on for my department so far. On Wednesday, the 27th, we are sponsoring with the Planned Parenthood Club on campus. We're bringing all of you, tabling in the LC concourse, condoms, lube, pamphlets, everything. So if you are sexually active, not sexually active, stop by, get your goodies. We are also, what's the next thing? Oh, so we are also coordinating with 5 Quad EMS to renew our certification as a heart healthy campus. So we are going to be, yeah, right? So we're going to be tabling in the concourse, dates to be determined. So make sure if you see that, that you learn how to do handling CPR. It takes only about 2 minutes, and if we get 1,000 people by February, we don't have to take down those signs that say we're Heart Healthy Campus. And the third and very exciting thing, if you are a returning senator, you've heard me talk about this online farmers market that I am really aspiring to bring here. Basically what it is, you order your produce online and it's picked up here on campus. And what's very exciting is it's very promising that we may be partnering with UAS and utilizing all of the resources. Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Perfect, thank you for your time.
Next up is the Department of Information Technology.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joel Durant. I am the IT guy. So quick update. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a computer science major here at the university, also with a minor in informatics. I'm a senior here at the university, graduated last year. As far as my update goes, I've been in constant contact with ITS as far as an issue with the server folder. Right now, like, since since the last time that the website was really updated, we've had some new departments added to the executive branch, and we also have a couple of issues that the previous developer kind of coded incorrectly as far as separating the Senate site with the regular Student Association website. But we're working on those things. I also have interns and my associate director working on those things. So I'm also delegating work to them. So I'm not just doing all those things by myself. So and I also hope to bring them here so you guys can get to know them. But yeah, the server folder basically doesn't have enough space to add like other pages. But ITS said that they're gonna fix that problem because apparently no one ever regularly updated the site this much before. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as an update. We also have the Tech Savvy series, which I'll continue to update you guys in the future about that. Any questions? Yes?
Is there a timetable on what will be updated on the site when?
So, as far as bios and everything for the executive branch, that's kind of done. The only thing is that some of the things aren't updating because of that memory problem. So like once you upload something to the server, the server's folder, it updates to the site. So when you go on your phone or your laptop or whatever, Student Association on alternate.edu, it'll update. But the thing is, since there's no memory there currently, it's not updating. So we're kind of trying to fix that by ITS currently. No, sorry. So once we get that fixed, then we could figure out the timetable. Any other questions? No? Great.
This is our Director of the Month. The office.
Actually, that's my bad. That's definitely my bad. All right, so really quick. Yeah. Okay, oh, who are you? Okay, good. You're ready first. All right, so I'm going to do it. Cool.
All right, how's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
All right, so I'm Christian Thompson, the Assistant Director of Disclosure Affairs.
And I'm Roosevelt Rosario, the Associate Director.
And we're here in place of Ariel, best man on campus. We also want to mention that upcoming, there's the Conversations for Change, September 28th, from 4 to 6 p.m. And if you're looking for any community service hours, you can hit up Manuel Laguna on his email. You can find that.
There will be an upcoming MSAC meeting. First meeting will probably be October 5th. We had to push back the date.
Wait, what is it? Ecomusic?
Yes.
I have a question on, I think it's a question a few people might have is, you mentioned ASDAC. Are there opportunities, and if so, what are they for more people to get involved in ASDAC? Oh, did you not mention ASDAC?
MSAC.
MSAC, yeah. Whose department would that fall under?
So we had a conversation, I'm not sure what know about it. I'm not really sure.
All right, well, we will figure that out.
Actually. It's an interesting way, yes, but we're still trying to figure out who exactly chooses them. It is in relation to, like, I think we're a representative or something of that sort. We'll look
into it. Sorry about that. Thank you, guys.
So congratulations once again, guys, on your new positions, all right?
Next up is the Department of Marketing.
Yes. I love my life.
Hello, everybody. I'm Darian. I'm the Director of Marketing. So I have a very big, very busy department. So at any time in the office, there will probably be somebody from the marketing department sitting there answering your questions, whatever. We have 8 interns. One of them is actually sitting there behind the camera. That's Caitlin. So I would definitely come to Senate expecting for you to have a picture taken, a video taken, something like that. You're going to be blasted all over the Student Association Instagram, so be prepared, and Facebook, so be prepared for that. If you guys are not already following us, I'm disappointed in you, but I will forgive you, and you can follow us for next time. Okay, so for a little bit of updates. First of all, about the marketing department, for student organizations and clubs, we do make flyers. So if you guys are part of any clubs or anything like that, you want flyers made, we usually ask for a week. But other than that, we definitely would love to do that for you guys. I know some of you have heard about the ULB chant. That's closed, that's over, we're no longer doing that. It's no longer supported by the entire university, so that's something that's not happening anymore. So thank you to people who were supporting us for that. Yeah, like I said, we hired our interns, we have 8 of them. SA pins are being ordered finally, so everybody will have their official pins. And then, yeah, so flyers. So I'm going to be the person that annoys you guys in the Student Association chat to post things, to table, which I hope you guys are tabling tomorrow because I would show up today. I also disappointed. But yeah, so please post stuff on your socials. It doesn't need to be an Instagram post. It can be on your Insta story. It can be on your Snapchat story. If you need pointers on how to promote, ask Haley because she's literally the best person. She promotes everything everywhere. She's fantastic. Yeah, so make sure that you're promoting stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to text me, email me. I am always on my phone, so I will always answer any questions
Anybody have anything now? Yeah.
Are we getting t-shirts?
Yes, you will be.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Yes, to answer that question, that was through me. We will be doing the t-shirts again. You know, and if you guys have, if any of you are so inclined that you feel that you're good at, you know, making things like that or designing things, then I welcome you to help me in that. Last year it was just a simple Senator 2016-17 Student Association logo and your name on the back. It doesn't have to be the same. I'd like it to be different. Just it can be really whatever. But we do have money set aside for that, so you all get t-shirts eventually sometime this semester. Next up for the executives is the Department of Programming.
I'm not the programming director, I promise. All right, so really quickly, unfortunately, our programming director, he did have to leave a bit early. However, his name is Joey Fambrini. So when you see him, please greet him. A really short report is on November 11th. We will be bringing back Fall Fest. So hopefully we will be having 2 concerts this year. Yes, we will be having our fest as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. You guys will not be notified. You guys can talk about it. Thank you. You guys will be notified in terms of who's going to be performing at this event, but you guys find out what everybody else does. We're sorry, but a lot of discretion is involved with this department. It's very important that we do abide by the rules and contracts of these artists because they are people too, and we need to respect them. Also, in addition to that, we are kicking off the Scholar Series this year. It's a very big academic initiative. Our first event is going to be October 2nd, in which we'll be catering to all business students. So that includes communication, marketing, and all that great stuff, Homeland Security. So once again, if you guys are very much so interested in something of that academic study, please tell your friends. We will have an official flyer promoted very soon, so stay tuned. And that concludes his announcement. Thank you.
Department of Public Relations.
Hey everyone, my name is Ryan. I'm the Director of Public Relations, Senior Communications Journalism major. So the Public Relations Department is responsible for keeping the bridge of communication between the undergraduate students, the UAlbany community, and the Albany community as super tight as possible. My department is responsible for all the communicative needs of the SA, and it's been a great time so far. Some of the initiatives that we've taken so far, similar to what Juju had just mentioned about the Scholar Series. Within the Public Relations Department, there's a sub-department, which is the Alumni Affairs. It's run by this guy named Joe DeSantis. A couple of you probably know him. And he's really been working with Alan, who's the Associate Director for Marketing, and setting that up. So please, October 2nd, 6 to 8 in the Assembly Halls. It'll be a great time. Even if you're not a business major, really should come out. It'll be a great event. And food, you know that. Second is my department's also responsible for like media outlets and stuff like that. So we've been creating brochures and monthly newsletters that will be out for October, November, and possibly December. And that's really to get the face of SA back onto the campus. So we want every undergraduate student to look at our logo and to look at our stuff and say, oh my gosh, yes, I know what they do, and I know how they do it, and I know why they do it. And that's very important. Just one more quick reminder. Excuse me. I've been working closely with the communication strategist, in creating the list of schools and contacting that list. So we can, so there's about 15 to 16 schools and or institutions in the region that we've been contacting. Basically the Mannies and Jujus of those institutions. We're trying to get them on board. So far they've been pretty receptive. For those that I can't get in touch with, hopefully I'll get them as soon as possible, and you'll have their answer then. The last thing is I'm working with a couple of the other directors in creating an events calendar. So on the Student Association website when it gets launched, there'll be a Google Calendar, very interactive, very fun, color-coded for each student organization, so for the businesses, the MSTACs, and all that good stuff. So you can click on a Wednesday night which group is having what event. You can go and you can show up and you can have a good time. But really it's for the undergraduate students to get more involved and to see what is out there. Because a lot of the times you'll have a great, huge $2,000 event and 50 kids showed up. And you didn't really get to utilize as much of those resources as we did. And then with the advantage to that calendar is hopefully some of our executives, my department and I, will be able to go out to these student events. We'll be able to say like, hey, quick 5 minutes. This is who we are, what we do, and how we do it, why we do it. So we really just want the undergraduates to feel comfortable on who we are and what we do. And we want to make it sure that if they ever need anything, that they know who to go to. We can always point them in the right direction. So comfortability, I want to make that top priority in my department. That's all we have so far. Do you have any questions? Cool. Thank you.
Please be the Department of Student Affairs.
Hi everyone, so my name is Jasmine, I'm the Director of Student Affairs. I deal with all the student organizations and helping them in any capability in any capacity in that board. I help them whether it's temporary recognition or permanent recognition, so we do that in my department. My report is a little bit short today because I said it in previous meetings. Right now we're updating our lister for our current presidents, having them update their information, and from there we can send them current information on behalf of the Student Association. And then, as Brian said, we are doing the event planning, so stuff like that. And that's really it. Oh, and then we also elected our Chief Justice. So I'll be getting her, giving her all the constitutions for the new student organizations, so those can be approved. And then from there, the student organizations can go into temporary recognition from there. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Who's your associate?
So my new associate is Nick. He could introduce himself.
Hi guys, I'm Nick. I'm a sophomore. I'm double majoring in political science and communications, and I'm Jasmine's associate.
Any more questions? Okay. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Alrighty, so at this point I'm going to do this quickly. So this is the quote-unquote training. I'm just going to ask you guys to pass these around, and while I'm talking you can fill them out, and then just keep passing them around so that they'll make their way back up to me. Bear with me, I just threw this together at the last minute. Emma's going to help me click through it. I don't want to stand at the podium for the whole time, so I'm just going to walk around. I'm going to make this quick. So again, welcome. I just want to use this opportunity. Hopefully, if you've zoned out, this is where you zone back in, because this might be the most important part of the meeting for some of you who are new. This is where maybe some of the questions, hopefully some of the questions that you've been having would be answered. And of course, like I said, if you guys have any more questions for me as I go along, please feel free. I am going to try to breeze through this as quickly as possible because we do have something else important to do tonight, and that is the vice chair election. A little bit of a fun fact, when I ran for my second term as Senate chair, my election lasted until 4:30 in the morning. So that is not happening tonight. I'm not going to give you guys that late. And in fact, the campus center no longer allows us to stay that late. So, amen. Yeah, it's a new rule. So, basically how this is going to work, there's 49 of us. As you saw, there's the executive and judicial branch as well. It's structured very much the same as the U.S. federal government. All three branches work with each other, but independently of each other. So it is important to remember that as senators, that you guys are all independent. You are part of an independent branch. But of course, in any way, shape, or form that we are able to work together with the executive and judicial, we're going to make every effort to do that, I should hope. So a little bit about what we need. You can click to the next, the one after the basics. The agenda, I just wanted to run through and explain to you what each part of the agenda means. I think you've probably gotten a good idea so far. At the beginning, we usually do the roll call. We're not going to introduce ourselves every week. Eventually, the approval of minutes. So like I said, the hard work that Emma's putting in over there, that is our minutes. That is our record of everything that happens at the meeting. It's our record of the vote counts on bills. It's a record of what people say. It's a record of what happens so that we can look back on them later if we ever need to, especially if we're talking about things of varying importance, then we need to go back and refer to those. In your committees, whenever you get into those, you'll also have someone who takes the minutes in those. Like I said, we're really trying, for the sake of transparency and for the sake of record keeping, to make sure that we have accurate logs of everything that we do. That way, if we ever need to look back at them, we can do that. So the approval of minutes is just every Tuesday. You probably saw the ones from last week. Every Tuesday, I'll send you the final copy of the minutes from last week. So if you ever read through them and see anything incorrect or see anything that you thought was important that's missing, this is your opportunity on the agenda to just let us know, because after we vote on whether to approve those minutes, they're done, they're approved. So usually there aren't very many amendments, but in case there ever is, that's your opportunity to do it. Public comment, you guys are able to utilize that in any way that you can. Usually we'll have guests, whether it's students, student group leaders, they'll come and they'll give their public comment. But I've also seen senators use it to promote their own student groups, or to promote their own events, or just to make a point, like I don't know where he went, but Senator Shio made earlier. That is your free forum to make whatever remarks, obviously appropriate remarks that you feel necessary. Opening remarks is just the opportunity for myself and the vice chair to do that. University reports, this is a pretty important part of the agenda as well. Usually every week we'll have somebody from the university coming to speak with you guys and also to stand before you to answer questions you might have. They usually come from different offices and departments across the university. So far, we have had the Vice President of Student Affairs, Michael Christakis, who will be joining us again next week alongside the new President, Javier Rodriguez. They will be coming and answering your questions and talking about the new things that are going on in the university, as well as the transition that just happened with the new president. We'll also be having a representative from the bookstore next week coming in to let us know some updates on that end. But really, this is just the opportunity where I invite anybody from the university who I feel has something to share, or to open up a dialogue so that we are, because you'll notice, and a lot of you probably noticed this with your campaign, a lot of the concerns that students have aren't necessarily things that SA can just write a bill, sign it, and change. Whether it's something to do with dining services, whether it's something to do with the bookstore, or banking, or parking services. We don't run those things, but we can advocate for what students want to see happen with those things. So that is our opportunity to do that, to get these guys in front of you. I'm hoping in the future meeting, I've also made a promise to do this, to have the Director of Parking Management and Mass Transit Services, because obviously there's been a lot of student concerns and questions as it pertains to parking availability on this campus, especially for commuter students. So that is your opportunity, and of course, if you guys ever have a recommendation, if you know a faculty member, or you have an idea that someone, a friend or constituent of yours has told you, hey, I have a question about this or that, just let me know, and I can do my best to try to bring that person to Senate, so you guys have that opportunity to open the dialogue. Judicial report is the chance for the Chief Justice or a representative of the court to tell us what's going on that end. Usually it's a good thing if that report is short. Board of Finance, so just to explain this really quickly, I don't think I have a slide for this, so I'll just say it now. The Board of Finance is a 7-member board of directors, really, for the Student Association. This is where we kind of move away from our structure as a government and move into our structure as a business, because we are also a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And we do have a $2.67 million budget to manage, so there has to be a set group of people to do that. The Board of Finance is, like I said, 7 people. 4 of them are appointed by myself, 3 of them are appointed by Juju. Those 3 have already been appointed. I've been waiting for this full Senate to be able to appoint mine. The way that will work, that'll happen next week, by the way. The way that usually works is the biggest thing that the Board of Finance does is they create that $2.67 million budget every spring for the next academic year. So last spring, myself and the other 6 members worked very, very hard. It's a lot of work and a lot of hours, as you can imagine, to put together that much money towards student groups, toward all the internal operations of the Student Association. So it is a very time-consuming, but also a very rewarding opportunity for students. And of course, also the contracts. If there's a contract for a student group that is higher than $10,000, the Board of Finance needs to approve it. The Park Fest contracts and Fall Fest contracts obviously are a total greater than $10,000, so that needs Board of Finance approval as well. And other than that, the board also oversees the hiring of the comptroller and deputy comptrollers, or the nomination, I should say, because you guys get the final vote. Executive reports, we just saw that as the opportunity for each of the directors to give us an update on what's going on in their respective offices. Also an opportunity for you guys to ask questions about whatever is going on. Committee reports, we will start the week after the 27th, where each chairperson of the committee, or if they're not there, a representative of the committee, will tell us what their committee's been working on. I'm hoping that each committee will be able to meet once a week. I understand sometimes things get busy and it might require more than 1 meeting a week. At the same time, there might be those dead periods where there's not as much to be doing and you might not be meeting every week, but just in general, that is the opportunity, same thing, for you guys to question them as to what their committees are doing and so they can report back to you. The legislative agenda, another very, very important part of the meeting. Usually, those of you who've been here a while, you can back me up on this. This is usually where things get interesting. Tonight, probably not, but the legislative agenda is any bills, any resolutions, any funding matters that have come up through the week. That is where the votes happen. That's where the debates happen. That's where the questions happen. So usually if there's something interesting going on, like Senator Shiloh mentioned, if there's drama, that's where it usually plays out. And I'm going to walk you through kind of the procedures, the basic procedures of how we go about doing that once we get to that point. Old business is usually just if a bill failed to pass previously, or if we kick the can down the road, or if there's anything that we've already previously discussed that needs revisiting, that'll be there. New business, again, sort of the same thing, but the opposite. If you guys have anything you want to bring up in terms of a bill that didn't make it on the agenda, or you have something that you think is pressing that needs to be discussed, sometimes that will also be initiated by the executive branch. Last year we had a lot of financial concerns, many of which need to be dealt with in private, so that was our opportunity to do that. That's called executive session, where we ask everybody to leave the room who is not a senator, the president, the comptroller, the vice president. And that's, like I said, if we have to discuss a sensitive matter that's not for the public to know. If we ever are in executive session, and you'll be reminded of this if that ever occurs, it is private, so you guys are not allowed to relay whatever's discussed in those sessions back to anybody else that wasn't in the room. Closing remarks is pretty self-explanatory, as is the closing roll. Just so you guys know how the roll works, your attendance is marked. So when you say here, when we do the opening roll, you're marked here for half the meeting. When you say here for the second half, that's credit for the second half of the meeting. So if you ever feel like, oh, I'm going to be running late today, let me know. So then you'll be marked excused for the first half. And the same thing, if you're like, I have a big exam tomorrow, or there's something coming up, or I have another meeting to go to, so I might have to leave at at 10 o'clock or whatever, that's fine too. Just let me know that ahead of time, or let the vice chair know ahead of time, so that we know. Because it's not difficult to give that notice. If you guys do not give notice, it will be an unexcused absence. And after 3 unexcused absences, every senator is eligible to lose their seat. And that is something, I hate to say it, but that is something I am absolutely positively interested in pursuing, because the fact of the matter is, you guys have all run, we've all run and won our elections, but as you guys know, most of those are very, very competitive. So I want you guys to take this responsibility seriously, because there are so many other people who did not win that would probably like the opportunity to be in these seats right now. So I want to make sure that you guys are taking it seriously. And like I said, I know you're all busy, engaged student leaders, so I'm not going to hold it against you if you have other things going on. You just got to let us know, okay? So that is the basics of the agenda. And by the way, the way that will work is if you're going to be absent or you're going to be late, you can just shoot me a text or email me. Most of you have actually already done that, so that's great. Bills and resolutions. You see on the flip side of the agenda, there's just the one for tonight. The way we're going to do that is it's going to be kind of a demonstration of how a bill usually works. I can explain this more when we get to it, but the gist of it is the bill is introduced by whoever wrote it or whoever's sponsoring it. It's up to you guys, depending on however you want to do it, if that's your own bill. It's introduced, so basically they just say, this is what the bill's about, this is why I wrote it, this is what I want to accomplish, etc., etc. Then there's a time for questions, so if you guys are unclear on certain parts of the bill, if you have just any general questions to the sponsor, to the author of the bill, you can ask them that. Once those questions are done, the people who sponsored the bill will sit down and join the rest of you again, and then that's when debate starts. So there's not always a debate, sometimes it's very obvious. Literally, sometimes we'll be giving a penny to a student group, and there's not much to discuss there. Although we did spend quite a few minutes last spring discussing 14 cents for some reason. So I guess it depends on the Senate, but sometimes, things are, if it's a big bill, if it's an important bill, if it's a controversial bill, debates do happen, and all that I ask is that we keep debates relevant and respectful. There's no need to attack each other. You can completely disagree with each other, and you can completely let everybody know it, and that's fine, and I encourage that. That keeps things interesting. But just try to be respectful to everybody else. Everybody here is an equal. You all were elected, and you all were elected to represent the whole student body, so we want to do that well. Resolutions only differ in that usually it's a matter of advocacy. A bill could be, I want to change this bylaw, or I want to give money to this student group, or whatever it might be. A resolution is usually just calling on something to happen that we might not necessarily have the power to do.
Initiative.
So like before, what's that?
An initiative.
Right, and yeah, any new initiative or anything, like last week, I believe it was, a resolution was passed to encourage the future rules committee when it is created next week to go through the bylaws and change all the mentions of he and she to they so that it's more gender neutral. And that was an initiative that was begun by the Gender and Sexuality and Concerns Department. We've also had ones that deal with environmental sustainability or cleanliness on campus. We've had them to do with parking. We've had them to do with pretty much everything. So that is just how a resolution works. And actually tonight the bill is a resolution because it doesn't actually do anything per se. It's just kind of a proclamation. For the next one. The budget, like I said, is $2.67 million. That is higher than it was last year. There was a $10 semesterly increase that took effect this fall. So I will provide you guys with a digital copy in the email tomorrow of the current budget. The budget pretty much is final. Sometimes we'll move lines around later in the year if it's necessary, especially for appropriations. But the budget is separated into two halves. There's the external budget, which is just all the money that student groups that are funded by SA receives. So that's a little less than half of the overall budget, but it is a sizable portion. I don't know the number off the top of my head. However, the internal budget is also kind of just everything that keeps us running internally. That includes all of the departments, the executive departments, and the money that they have to spend. It includes the Senate's money, which will be used for your t-shirts. It will be used for student appropriations. It will be used for SUNY SA as having a conference, things like that. Whatever comes up, we'll be using the Senate line for that. There's also DivvyKill. How many of you know what DivvyKill is? Awesome. So that drains a lot of our budget, but it is a great place, and I'm hoping that we can maybe get an essay retreat going with the executive and legislative here, so that we can have that opportunity to enjoy DivvyKill and also a bonding experience. But the budget is big. I will give you guys the opportunity to look it over. When I send it out to you, if you have questions, you can just let me know. But like I said, it is crafted by the Board of Finance. It is approved by the Senate. They'll usually be in April or May, and the Senate will consider the budget. So those will be longer meetings, as you can imagine. Next. The Constitution and bylaws will also be sent to you. So the one thing that is good about the budget, as well as the Constitution, is that they change very rarely. It is much harder to change the budget and as well as the Constitution, and that is on purpose. In order to change the Constitution, the way that it works is the Senate has to vote on the amendment twice. So each semester, the Senate has to pass the same amendment. And that's just to confirm, it kind of drags out the process a little longer, so it can't be so reactionary. So that it's kind of like a check on it. It's kind of like a Senate check on itself. So that you can look back at the same bill in the spring that someone wrote in the fall and say, is this still a good idea? Does this still make sense? And then it goes on the ballot in the spring, and the student body has to vote on it. To be honest with you, the student body usually approves it because many of them don't read it. In fact, if you guys were here this past spring, there was a constitutional amendment on the ballot then too. A lot of people just click through it. But it is a long process. If any of you are seeking to change a certain aspect of the Constitution, just know it's not going to take effect until next fall because that is the way the process was designed. The bylaws, on the other hand, are much more moldable, which is why it's going to be harder for you guys to keep track of what's going on with those. They're currently in the process of being updated because we have made some changes in the last 2 weeks alone. I'm going to send that out to you whenever those updates are completed. That's just an administrative task. But those can change at a moment's notice. Any particular night, we might be considering a bill that changes the bylaws. That's for a number of reasons, but the Constitution is supposed to be there just to kind of create our system of government and to create how we operate. The bylaws are much more specific. So as times change, our needs change, people have new ideas, or you say, well, this thing doesn't really work anymore, or we don't use this anymore, this isn't needed anymore, and we replace it with something new. Go to the next one. Committees, all right, here's a very, very important one. So like I keep saying, next week, the 27th, is when I will present the structure for the committees for this year. So what I always try to do is I want to make sure everybody has as best an opportunity as they can to get the committee of their preference. However, there are 49 of us, and there are only 5 committees, and some of them do have caps on how many people I can put on it. For example, rules was a popular committee usually. I can only put 8 people on that committee, and there's a very specific reason as to why that is. So just know if you don't get your #1 choice, it's nothing against you. It's just a lot of other people put that down as their #1 too. But I'm going to try to make sure everybody gets at least their second. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to do a quick run through of what each of the 5 are and what they do. So you'll see on the papers in front of you, you have your top 3. If you guys could just write down a general idea of, after I'm done talking, of what one sounds most interesting to you, second most, third most, whatever. If there's one particularly that sounds like completely no, don't ever put me on that. You can make note of that too, so that I know. But you shouldn't get anything beyond your third preference, I would hope. So the first committee is rules and administration. You can just write rules. Rules is usually the committee that deals most closely with the Constitution and bylaws. So if, I guess, you're watching a few Senate meetings and you are noticing something's not working quite right, or there's a certain function that's not working quite right. For example, my sophomore year, if you wanted to change the bylaws, there was actually a constitutional amendment in place that made you wait 2 weeks before that could take effect, and it was just supposed to do the same thing as the Constitution, where you couldn't make a change so drastically or so quickly. But over time, we realized that was more annoying than it was helpful, especially when we needed things done quickly, because this is not the real government, this is student government, it's not that serious. So, in the case that we did need something done on a weekly basis rather than every 2 weeks, we did ultimately change that. So rules is very much concerned with the laws and, as it makes sense, rules of our student association and our student association senate. So if that sort of thing interests you, if policy interests you, if bylaws interest you, it sounds boring, but it can actually be pretty interesting. Also, the rules committee is very active with the university senate, which is like the same thing as us, but it's faculty and staff members. Every member, this is why only 8 people can be on the committee, every member of the rules committee is a voting senator or representatives in that senate. That is also a responsibility to not take lightly. I know in the past, SA has had pretty poor attendance at those. That's something I would like to change. I believe the time hasn't changed, but I'll confirm, but Mondays at 2:45 is usually when they meet. So if that is a time that you are not free, perhaps this might not be the committee for you. If not, we could probably work around it. But I really would like to see the Student Association have a bigger presence at those meetings, because that is actual, people are voting on whether to make things majors or minors. They took away a minor a year or 2 ago, and there were no students in the room to have a say on that. So, it is very important to take that seriously. So that is the gist of the Rules Committee. The Appropriations Committee is another very popular one. It used to have a cap of 9 people. We raised it to 10 a couple weeks ago, so 10 of you will be able to be on that. Every time a student group has a funding request, that's the committee they go to. So whether it's, for example, a SUBA or the debate team or whatever it might be, if they need money for an event, either because they didn't budget for it, it just came up, or maybe they tried to include it in their budget and they got denied, we have $100,000 set aside to dole out to those student groups. So these are going to be people who are more interested in money, more interested in the numbers, more interested in maybe connecting with student groups, because really, when it comes to the Senate, a lot of the students don't know what goes on in this room, because obviously they're not in here. That's why, A, it's important for you guys to communicate that, and B, if you are going to be in committees like appropriations, it is important that you are doing a good job of representing the Senate, because for some student groups, you might be the only senators they ever see, because you are that face. When they need something, when they need money, they're going to come to you. So really, that's just a committee about weighing the pros and cons of everybody's request. Like I said, it'd be great if we could just give money to everybody, but of course we only have $100,000. That sounds like a whole lot, but it's not. You'll find it out pretty quickly. So I would be looking for people who are not just interested in money and funds, but people who are kind of more long-term minded and thinking, here's a budget, let's work with it, rather than just, because it's happened before where people just doled out the whole budget at the beginning, and then when groups come to us in the spring, they're like, why isn't the Student Association funding groups? And our answer is, well, we irresponsibly spend our money. So next is GovOps, government operations. You can even write ethics if you want, because that is usually what the most work, that's usually where most of the work lies in this committee. Government operations is concerned with making sure that the Student Association is functioning, and that includes the executive branch, the legislative and judicial, is functioning within our rules and our bylaws. So for example, those of us who are paid, we have to do office hours every week. That's part of, why we're paid, and that's part of why, if you're not going to come into the office at all, you shouldn't be paid because you're not doing any work for the students like you should be. So that committee, for example, checks to make sure that all the directors, to make sure that me, to make sure that the president, everybody else are doing their job the way that they're supposed to. And if they're not, then action can be taken against those people to make sure that we can maybe get someone in there who's going to. This has been a committee that's kind of fluctuated in the past. Some years it's been not so active. Some years it's been much more active. It all depends on the Senate. It depends on whoever's in SA at the time, whatever's going on at the time. But government operations is supposed to make sure that things are functioning smoothly and efficiently. And ethics is a subcommittee, but it really same thing. If people are acting in an unethical way or breaking our ethics policy, then that is the committee that seeks to take action against them. So it's much more of like an investigative type committee. The fourth option is community engagement and outreach. You could write CEO. This is something that if you guys are interested in community service, if you guys are interested in PR or communications or whatever else, this is what I like to say is the face of the Senate to not just the U-Albany community, but the Albany community. They're going to be working closely with the Department of Community Engagement and Outreach. You met Rosalind tonight, to put on community service events, to make our name and our brand known to other groups in the Albany area, to local officials, to other student groups, pretty much just really throwing ourselves out there. This has been a committee in the past that's not been very active, so I think there's a lot of room moving forward for people who are really, who are really engaged, whether it's on campus or off campus, to step into this role and say, hey, look, I have this connection or that connection, and we can do more. One of the ideas that I really, really want to see happen this year is called SA Day, and where that came from was last year I noticed this is in the bylaws that this committee was supposed to do SA Day, it just never did. I'm like, well, probably because no one knows what SA Day is, but that kind of got me thinking, well, that's actually great and no one knows what it is because that gives us the opportunity to decide what it is. So SA Day did not happen last year for mostly the reason that nobody, it was, by the time we got around to it, there was too much to plan in too little time without enough money. This year, all of that has changed. There's plenty of time, there's plenty of interest, there's plenty of money, so why don't we do it? So everybody who's on that committee is going to be responsible for planning a large-scale event in the spring. It's going to be a lot of leeway as to what you guys want it to be, but whatever it is, it needs to engage the community on and off campus. It needs to have some sort of community service aspect, and you need to be able to bring the Albany community out to this event, because I'm not going to have, it's not going to be in this room. It's going to be somewhere bigger. It's going to hopefully be outside, but it's going to be a large-scale event, so if that sounds like something that you're interested in or you're good at, that's probably a good committee for you. And last but not least, the fifth committee is constituent relations. That is the committee, again, that really is active outside of just the Senate. They deal a lot with student groups as well, and the students in general. So pretty much any advocacy issue. Like I said, if someone comes to us and says, I really hate parking, I keep using that as an example because I really do. I really hate parking services, what can you do about it? We can put that in that committee's court, and they can kind of pursue that and follow up with the relevant people on campus, because as its name suggests, it is completely about engaging with the students that we are elected to represent. Other than that, constituent relations has a big role in the budget process. So what happens is, like I said, in the spring when the Board of Finance crafts its budget, student groups apply for how much they think that they need for that year. The Board of Finance will get back to them and say, here's how much we actually are giving you. Oftentimes that's lower than what they asked for, just because, like I said, that's how budget works. We don't have all the money in the world. But then the student group has the opportunity to appeal that decision. If they really think, hey, I asked for $10,000 and they're only giving me $2,000, my group is not going to be able to survive on that next year. They can go to this committee, and that committee has an advisory role with the Board of Finance to kind of revisit that and help them to put that and work that out in the budget. So again, for someone who is engaged on campus, for someone who's interested in helping students in a very direct way, and for someone who's interested in getting involved with that budget process, if you're not a member of the Board of Finance, that's a good thing for you. So again, they are rules, appropriations, government operations, community engagement and outreach, and constituent relations. If you guys, this is just kind of an exact poll of where everyone stands on where they want to be. If you guys want to discuss these any further, or if you guys want to ask me what I think might be best for you or whatever else, I am interested in meeting, especially with some of the new senators. A, just to get to know you better, and B, to kind of talk that through, so I can ask you what are your goals, or what did you campaign on, or what do you envision doing this year? That way we can kind of talk that out and help figure out what committee is best for you. So I do have a deadline for this. I have to send out the agenda by next Tuesday night, so Obviously, with the holiday and such, we're kind of in a pinch here, but I'm also, you can contact me by phone or email, and I'd be happy to set up times with you guys to talk more about that. But for right now, if you guys can just kind of pass those along this way, maybe, since they're all in one place.
Jared, I can get one, but you don't know.
I do. I think they're, okay, so the most boring part of all, but it's equally important. So, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity yet for you guys to see it play out, but you will hear soon as we get onto this bill. Parliamentary procedure is what, how many of you know like that means, just based on those words? All right, think about it. It's all based on a book that's about this thick. It's literally a Bible of how to run meetings and how policy and procedures are supposed to work. We follow it at there it is, right there, Robert's Rules of Order. Obviously, nobody in the time would prepare to read that, so we follow it in a very inexact way, but we follow it as best we can. And the reason for that, the reason for its existence is in order to hold a productive and efficient and fair meeting, everybody has to kind of agree to a set of ground rules as to how things need to function. Without those rules, there would be nothing to stop people from just talking over each other, from speaking out of turn. A lot of it is protecting the minority. So in a particular vote, if 60% of the room feels one way and 40% feels another, that 40% still needs to have their opportunity to have their voice be heard and argue their way. So a lot of it is about that. In a lot of ways, it is like the real government, where it's not all about the majority. It's not all about whoever's at the podium getting their way all the time. It's about engaging everybody and making sure that we're treating each other in a respectful fashion. So even though it might seem annoying or confusing or convoluted at times, because it absolutely is a necessary function that we're going to try our best to follow. So just to explain some of the basics here. I wish I laid this out a little better with the slides, but so I guess I'll use this as an example. Like I said, if a bill is being introduced, the sponsor has their opportunity first to introduce it. So if you have a question when we get to that stage, you raise your hand, I call on you, not the sponsor, and then you are able to ask a question. Then we answer it. So that's pretty simple, straightforward. When we get to debate, that's where things kind of get a little more interesting. Same thing works when I say, okay, we're entering debate. You can raise your hand and make a debate point. The way that works, like I said, it's not to demean or belittle the sponsor in any personal way, whether you're for or against it. It's just your forum to express your positive or negative opinion on the bill. So whenever that happens, I try to give everybody an opportunity who has their hand raised. If you've raised your hand and you've made one debate point, I'm not going to call on you again until everybody else who hasn't spoken yet has had the opportunity to do so. Other than that, there is no limit as to how many debate points that you want to make. Like I said, it just depends on how controversial or how important the bill is. Sometimes there's none, sometimes there are many. But whenever the debate is finished, then that's where motions come into play. So a motion is basically just somebody requesting that something happen. So someone would say, one that you'll hear pretty often is motion to call the question, which just means to vote. See what I mean? Literally, they could have just put vote, but in this book, it's called calling the question. So if someone raises their hand and they say, I move to call the question, that means they want to vote. They want to just cut off the debate. People have been talking too much, too long, probably like I am right now, and they just want to cut it off and move on. That happens a lot when, I guess an example would be, last year, we were in the middle of the year, we had a situation where we had to nominate and confirm a new comptroller because the then comptroller resigned in the middle of the year. The nominee was controversial. Some people supported her, some people did not. So after a while, though, it gets kind of bogged down and all the points have been made, but obviously a room of people who are engaged student leaders, many of us poli-sci or business, you could let us talk all night long and we would. But the point is, there comes a time where everything's been said that needs to be said. And at that point, the votes are probably there one way or the other already. So there's no need to continue speaking because you're not going to convince anybody. That's where that comes in. A motion to call the question is just to do that, to vote And then you'll see if you have enough votes or not, and that's that. Trying to think of what the other most important motions are. A motion to amend the bill, I guess, is another very important one. If you see that there's a certain line in the bill that you're confused about, or that you don't think makes sense, or you think shouldn't be there, you can motion to amend the bill. You can amend the bill by striking out a line completely. You can amend the bill by adding something to it. Whatever is on the agenda, whatever comes before you guys on your tables, that is not final in any way. It's not final until it's been voted on, passed, and signed. So it is completely up for any sort of amendment. It's completely up for any sort of change. And a lot of times where we end up amending things is when we debate a bill for a while, people realize, there's this one part that a lot of people are opposed to, but overall people are fine with it. But then the discussion is geared more toward, okay, let's fix the one part so we can get as many people on board as possible. That also happens a lot with appropriations. If the Appropriations Committee approves a certain amount of money for something, but the Senate is not so comfortable funding a certain particular part of the event, that happens sometimes too, where people will say, all right, I'm fine with them getting this, that, and the other, but I'm not so sold on this $2,000 bus that they're looking to wherever. So that can happen too. The motion to amend is just to change any part of the bill that you might not like. And it can happen as many times as you need before the bill is finished being discussed and passed. I feel like that's pretty much about it for the important rules. Whenever there is a motion made, however, there has to be a second. There almost always is one. So even if you don't support the motion, usually someone will just second it. It's just to confirm that in a room of 49 people, at least one more person is okay with whatever motion it is being, advanced. So if you ever make a motion, just know that someone else will have to second it. And that's about it for that. As we go on, you'll notice a lot of different kind of quirks of the procedure come up, and it can get confusing at times. So what I encourage you all to do is, sometimes if I'm at the podium and I get sidetracked and I have a conversation with the vice chair, or the secretary, or just another senator, and then I kind of zone back in, I've even lost where we are, because when we do get into amendments and stuff, it can be confusing. So what I encourage each and every one of you to do is, if you are ever confused, if you are ever lost as to what's going on, especially as it comes time to vote, just ask. Just raise your hand and confirm, because it's much better to do that than to start voting yes or no on something that you're not really sure what it is. And I can guarantee you are not the only person in the room who has that question. In fact, like I said, even I might have the same question. So if you ever feel like you've been lost in the whole fray of debate or discussion, just let us know, and we can take a step back and kind of make sure everyone's on the same page. So that's about it for that. You will be able to see some of this play out with this bill. Some of the older senators are going to help me out here and kind of demonstrate some of the procedures that I've outlined. So I'm not sure if I have another slide or not. Okay, great. So I guess with that being said, we can move into the legislative agenda. This is bill number 33, and the sponsor is Senator Agnes, so she can, I don't know, like I said, this isn't the usual setup we have. I don't know if you guys want to.
Okay, so I'll be quick on this. I know it's late and we haven't done the vice chair election yet, but this is a resolution, like Jared was saying, the difference between a resolution and a bill, so it's not really binding. But this is just to recognize Jared as the Dean of the Senate, which means he's the longest serving senator. It's kind of just like a tradition thing that we do before Jared. There was 2 other kids that had this. It was this kid named Brad and then this kid named Connor, who were the Dean of the Senate last year and the year before that.
All right, so are there any questions for the sponsor? All right, seeing no questions, we'll move into debate. Are there any debate points on the bill? Senator Ryback.
So yeah, I just kind of say I'm not really sure what the point of this bill is. Really, first of all, it says not the point. You don't have to point this on the bylaws at all. Second of all, I don't get why we're wasting time appointing people who don't really need it. It has no power, it has no purpose.
How did I win this? Senator Capuano.
I just want to say, Jarrett is already the Senate chair, and if you vote for this bill, you're
authorizing every pointless bill that we put through this entire year, know that you voted for something. It's not in the bylaws, it's nowhere in our government. It's a tradition that's 2 Senate chairs old, so it's not really a tradition. So I would advise you guys, if you want to be home before 11 o'clock every night, to vote against bills that are not binding and that have really no place wasting our time with these Senate meetings.
I would like to state that Jared Altilio is currently one of the longest standing senators here, so by precedent, he deserves this position. I don't care if he's vice chair already. Since chair already. I'm trying. I don't know. It's long, all right. He went over parliamentary procedure for 45 minutes. I don't care. According to precedent, he should hold this position.
If you can correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it true that the dean is third in line to take the podium when the vice chair and the senate chair, for whatever reason, can't run the podium?
The rules chair is third in line. It goes in the order of shots fired.
Okay.
Actually, and that's great that you just did that. That also happens. It's called a point of information. If you have a question about procedure or about a specific, like, oh, is this against a certain part of the bylaws or constitution? That's your opportunity as well. You can ask during debate, and I will, as best that I can, clarify. Senator Tasman?
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna be like, I want to echo Senator Shiloh's sentiment in regards to the fact that Jared is the longest-serving senator, and it's important to recognize that. So I think this bill is relevant because it's important that we appreciate one another.
I definitely understand the point of time and making sure that we run our efficiency. So I think we shouldn't waste any more time discussing it. It's clear that Jared deserved it, and everybody deserves acknowledgement. So I feel like we should just all understand.
Something to say about that?
Okay, just make a point. This is basically for the future. So a resolution, like the one I had last week about gender equality in the Constitution, that resolution is to actually go to protect knowledge on non-binary students on campus. This is just a title to give somebody. This isn't an episode of Game of Thrones. We don't all need a title. We just keep on giving titles to people when it has no purpose at all, just to say that we gave a title to somebody.
Senator Seaborg.
Motion to call the question.
All right. Thank you. Is there a second? Take your pick. We'll give it to Gemma. Sometimes it's a challenge. Everybody seconds at the same time, and it's like a little mini win if you get it. All right. So we vote. Usually we'll be voting by iClicker because that is so quick. Next week you'll all get assigned an iClicker based on your alphabetical order. That way it's so easy to just technologically record your votes, yes, no, abstain, and then we can immediately see the result on the screen. But right now, since I don't have those up and running and assigned to you all yet, we will just vote for the sake of time by voice. So all those in favor of the bill say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. I believe that the ayes have it, so the bill passes. Just so you all know, that was completely staged.
Yeah,
there were a little more no votes than I. All right, so now the actual important business of the night. We will be electing the vice chair, who will be of great assistance to me, I should hope, this year. They are the number 2 in the chain of command, so if I ever step down because I feel so inclined to make a debate on a bill, which happens rarely, but it does happen from time to time, they will step up to the podium. Also, they'll be assisting me in and out of the office with administrative duties, with connecting with you guys as senators, with helping to form the committees. Pretty much just my right-hand man or woman for the year. We'll be working closely as well with all the committee chairs and leaders. That is called the executive committee. So at this time, the way that this works is in order for a candidate for vice chair to be nominated, someone has to raise their hand and make a nomination. Someone has to second that nomination, and then I will ask that individual if they are interested in running. If they are not, that's it. But for now, we can open the floor for nominations. Yes, Senator Holder.
I would like to nominate Suba Tadman.
Second. A motion in a second. Suba?
Yeah, accept.
Okay. Any other nominations? Alrighty. not sure if this has happened before, but it's been a long time. So the way that this works, we'll still proceed as normal. So the candidate will have the opportunity to come up here and give a little talk about what she wants to do or why she's running. Then you guys will have the opportunity to ask her any questions that she might have, and then we will ask that she leave the room. If anyone has any debate points, those can be made at that time. And then we will cast our ballots by secret ballot. We'll just be passing out little sheets of paper, and you'll be writing a name on that paper, and then myself, the comptroller, and an OSI representative will be counting those votes, and we will let you know. Just so that you are aware, a 2/3 majority is necessary for a winner to be announced. So at this time, I will give the podium to Senator Tasman.
Hi everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruth, and I've been a senator. This is going to be my 3rd year now. So vice chair essentially is just a position that serves as a direct assistant, or like literally like Jared's right-hand person. That's going to help him with all administrative duties, as well as serve as like an advocate and support for senators as a whole. So I've served on the appropriations, community engagement outreach, and sponsorship committees in my time as a senator, so I know exactly what advocacy is like for students. So I know the power of advocacy and what we can do for that. In regards to what I want to bring to the position, I want to work with Jarrett to make sure that chairs of committees have more communication with one another, just so we know that everyone's being held accountable for what they're responsible for. I've also served on the UAS Board of Directors, so I have a very good working relationship with a lot of the faculty and staff at the university. So that's just another positive that I can bring to this position, because a lot of the work I will be doing is administrative. And like all in all, I just want to make everyone's lives better in Senate and help Senate function better. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'm definitely open to hearing that. So yeah, that's it.
All right, so do we have any questions? So at this time, yeah, I guess so. You can just hang out outside wherever. We'll do our business. I'm sure it'll be great. All right. So this would typically be where we discuss the candidates, and everybody can make a pro or con about whoever's running. This is usually what takes the longest time of any chair or vice chair election. Obviously, since there is one candidate, I can't imagine it's going to take that long. But at this time, if anyone has any debate points about the candidate, you can make those. Yes, Emma.
I just want to say that I know Sue wasn't as a freshman. She is an absolutely wonderful advocate. She believes so much in the Student Association and what we can do for our students. She says herself, she is an advocate. She works with so many different organizations, so many faculty members, and I don't think we could get a better pick.
Motion to call the question? Second. We have a motion to call the question. Second. All right, so what we'll do is invite her back in. Getting our exercise today. Ray will help us to pass out these ballots. This is very just like pass them down. Try not to take two.
I didn't take two. Kara did. This one is.
Do it.
Shut up.
Everyone, this is secret ballot, okay? Whatever I love how he didn't say we pronounce whatever saves me.
It's fine.
You just said get out. All right, ladies.
irrelevant.
There were four.
If Suba wants to come up and say a few syllables, do that. Emma's over here, just so gracious that now Suba gets to do the role instead of her.
Well, thank you everyone who voted. Not that you had any other choice, but I hope I can make you guys proud. Honestly though, I am here and open to hear all of your questions, concerns, whatever. I'm going to be doing 10 office hours in SA, so feel free to come find me, and I'm always here to help you guys. But yeah, I look forward to a great year.
Much more painless than it usually is. I don't have anything to say in my closing. I'll send you all a recap email tomorrow. However, I do ask that you all stay relatively quiet and in your seats because Senator Tasman will be doing the closing roll. And like I said, you want to make sure that you get credit for staying through this whole debacle. So listen for your name. Yeah.
Agnes?
It's Vice Chair.
Here.
What's that?
Vice Chair Tasman.
Agnes? Here. Yeah. Attilio?